A week has passed since the China Eastern Airlines crash. Heartbroken families travel to the site to commemorate their lost ones. They hope to establish a victim family group to support each other, but the authorities declined their request. Instead, they sent a special task force to support and monitor the victims' families. As the second black box that recorded flight data has been found, are we getting closer to find out the truth about the crash? Not necessarily. It all depends on what happened in the cockpit, who were the people on board, and whose power may be threatened by the truth. Hi everyone, welcome to my show. I'm Lei. According to the South China Morning Post, at least 3 members of the special task force have been assigned to each victim family. They keep a close eye on the families and follow them everywhere. In addition, only a few media outlets were allowed to report on site and told not to excessively focus on grief in their reports. Here's something that's even more puzzling. Wuzhou, the city near the crash site, is soliciting blood donations from the public. People questioned why they needed blood when there were no survivors. The Wuzhou Red Cross Blood Center said it was to prepare for an emergency blood supply. A blood donation vehicle was on Wuzhou College campus where students line up to donate blood. I wonder what event the authorities have in mind that requires an urgent blood supply. Taiwan, perhaps? By the way, Wuzhou is about 550 miles away from Xiamen, the nearest city on the mainland across from Taiwan. What's even more bizarre is the discovery of the second black box. On March 25th, the China Civil Aviation News published an article with the headline, "The second black box has been found." The main body of the text had only 2 words, "It's true." Furthermore, 7 journalists from the media outlet co-authored this 2-worded article. In addition, an editor, a proofreader, and a fact-checker also put their names on it. Having 10 people signing a report that only says "it's true" is odd, unless it's intended to send a message that the group stands by what they wrote because they knew they would be challenged. As expected, Xinhua News Agency soon issued a statement denying that the second black box had been found. Hours later, the China Civil Aviation website issued an apology, saying, "Due to errors and fact-checking not being rigorous, we erroneously gave inaccurate information about the second black box having been found." However, 2 days later, state media announced the discovery of the black box. This series of events got people very confused. Wang Zhian, a former CCTV reporter and chief investigative reporter for Beijing News, now living in Japan, wrote on Twitter, "China's air disaster investigations are so opaque that so-called industry information controls obscure many human-caused disasters." Weibo has blocked any search results about the captain of the flight, Yang Hongda. I couldn't find anything about him on the internet, but I did find information about the first officer, Zhang Zhenping. A Hong Kong media interviewed a former colleague. He praised Zhang as an award-winning veteran and a hard-working pilot with an unparalleled safety record, and one of the few pilots who had flown over 31,000 hours. Just when I felt it was curious that the authorities allowed publicity about the first officer, but not the captain, I discovered something else that's interesting. One Chinese insider said in a post that Captain Yang was 31 years old, and his father is a veteran captain and also a leader at the airline. Last year, First Officer Zhang made a mistake, flying out of the terrain warning zone at an airport. The company listed his mistake as a serious safety incident, and he was subsequently demoted to First Officer after allegedly failing a simulator test. The post continued, "This is a great insult to Zhang Zhenping, who was retiring soon." The post suggested that Zhang may be suffering emotionally after losing a family member to vaccine. It said that Zhang had been plotting since January and had arranged to fly with the leader's son, who's Captain Yang. Those of us who have lived in China know it's common practice for a CCP leader to use his power to benefit his family at the cost of the reputation or career of others. But this was a big claim that I needed to verify. Just as I was wondering how to go about it, a pilot in China who knew Captain Yang reached out. What he told me confirmed what I read. He said, being a pilot in China is a political appointment. The young captain came from a well-connected family. He said the 58-year-old veteran pilot was demoted to be subordinate to all the very young captains. I also found that the salary difference between a captain and first officer is enormous in China. Chinese captains make somewhere between 600,000 to 900,000 yuan a year. That's about $90,000 to $140,000, while the first officer makes only a third of that. We don't know if the demotion affected pilot Zhang's income. If it did, it could be pretty hard on him. Well, getting to the bottom of this can be very difficult, and we may never know what happened. I want to tell you about one of the deadliest and most scandalous air disasters in China, the Dalian Air Crash of 2002. On May 7, 2002, Northern Airlines Flight 6136 from Beijing to Dalian crashed into the ocean near Dalian, killing 112 people on board. After the crash, officials announced that the cause of the crash was arson by a man who was trying to cheat his way to a high insurance claim. Fast forward 10 years to learn more about the crash. In 2012, after the notorious Bo Xilai, who is Jiang Zemin's chosen successor and the man who schemed to overthrow Xi Jinping, was arrested, the Daily Mail reported that the victims of the Dalian plane crash included Li Yanfeng, a special assistant to the head of personnel at the Chinese Ministry of State Security. Li was the wife of a wealthy hotelier and an ally of Bo Xilai's political enemy in Dalian. Bo was the mayor of Dalian at the time. Li knew too much and was returning from Beijing with letters pleading for her husband, who was detained and imprisoned by Bo Xilai. Bo was said to have orchestrated the crash to get rid of Li. The black box was never found. After the crash, Li Yanfeng's profile was left blank on the victims list, deliberately leaving out her occupation. As scandalous as that crash was, the victim list was published 2 days after the crash. It's been a week now. Authorities still haven't released the victim list of the Eastern Airlines March 21st crash. It makes us wonder who were on board. So what are the authorities trying to hide? The official press conference on the day after the crash is telling. Take a look at how the leader avoided questions from a Reuters reporter.
这架波音737-800飞机的维修记录是怎样的？近期维修方面，有发现任何什么问题吗？飞行员的飞行小时记录是怎么样的？然后事故发生的时候，天气是怎么样？另外想问一下，就是空难发生前，机组有无和空管联系？然后有联系的话，都说了什么？在飞机坠落之前，飞机的基本能否完整？然后最后就是这个 U.S NTSB 的那个调查者，有被提名，想问一下中方会不会邀请他到中国来，就是帮忙做这个调查？谢谢。
Sun Shiying, the party's secretary and chairman of China Eastern Airlines Yunnan Company, replied to the reporter.
好，谢谢提问。飞机呢，当时是在平飞巡航阶段。第二个呢，东航呢正全面开展安全隐患大排查，目前航空运力比较充足，我们的安排检查也包括一些临时性、预防性措施。我们将严格按照民航安全管理规定，有序开展相关工作。谢谢。
The more the CCP tries to cover up, the less confidence people have in Chinese airlines. Eastern Airlines is headquartered in Shanghai. Prices of tickets from Shanghai to many places in China dropped by more than 80%. And the lowest one-way ticket from Shanghai to Xiamen was only 71 yuan. That's $10. Meanwhile, train ticket prices are several times that of airline tickets. My pilot contact said that the authorities already know what happened. I think they're afraid to let the public know the truth, because if they did, people will see how corrupt the airlines are and the CCP officials are. On the other hand, I don't know how they can cover it up when 132 lives have been lost. I'll keep you posted. Please like and share my videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Till next time, stay well.